Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to another video. My name is Amethyst, and today we're going to be discussing a topic that I've wanted to talk about for a little while now, especially over the past couple days, and that is Genshin Impact's demise and the fact that I think Wuthering Waves has hit the nail in the coffin, the final nail in the coffin for Genshin Impact, and the fact that Genshin Impact's recent update was an absolute flop, a disappointment, and how I think Genshin's reputation is next to ruined. Now I'm going to start off this video by saying that I don't think Genshin Impact is inherently a bad game. I think it's a game for a much younger audience. I think the game requires little to no skill. I think it is solely a story-driven and story-based game. As there is no endgame content, there will be no endgame content, and the endgame content that Hoyoverse thinks they're putting in isn't in endgame content in the slightest. I think Genshin Impact's updates that they've been releasing has been lackluster at best. I think they've been relying too much on characters to make the sales for Hoyoverse. Arlecchino is a prime suspect of this, as the Arlecchino story quest was so dog shit, not because the story quest itself is bad, it's because the animation they released days before the release of the update itself was the story quest in animated format. They didn't expand on anything, they didn't add anything, they didn't give you anything new. It was a rehash of the animated trailer in a game format, when we got a very good looking animated short. But that's exactly what the story quest was, and we just got that again, but playing through it rather than watching a 7 or 8 minute video, you know. I think that the recent update that they released, where the whole selling point was Dainsleif and the fact that we are going to be reuniting with Lumine, like Aether and Lumine are going to be getting back together. They wrote it so poorly. The writing for this update was so poor, and the fact that Aether, when he met his sister and found his sister, didn't get the answers he needed is abysmal. And the reason why he didn't get the answers that he needed or wanted is because when you encounter Lumine, and when you encounter your, when you have this encounter, this great encounter that people have wanted for such a long time now, the great build-up of Aether and Lumine coming together once again, is there going to be a conflict? Is there going to be an argument? Is it going to be a touching reunion? We don't know. Instead, what we got was Aether asking for answers, Lumine giving half-assed answers, and then Lumine wiping Aether's mind and then putting you back to where you started. They put you back to where you fucking started, which is, I need to find my sister and I don't know where she is. Obviously other stuff happened in the update, in the story. Dainsleif shows up as well, and he's in the story. But the prime selling point was you're reuniting with your sister finally, just then to lose your sister again, the umpteenth time, and it's like, what is the point? What is the point? You cannot, Hoyoverse cannot keep getting away with this, and they're getting away with this, with this bullshit writing, with these terrible updates that are giving you no rewards, terrible events. Now, not all of the events are terrible. You know, the Wind Trace event was pretty cool. Remember when I did the prop hunt thing? That was really cool. But overall, the content they've been giving the player base has been, like I said, lackluster at best. Meanwhile, over here, Wuthering Waves, upon release, gave us what felt like, to me, in my opinion, a pretty full game. Not finished, because the story, obviously there is much more to the story, there's much more to come with the story, but we got essentially, imagine an anime, right? Imagine an anime. Anime has arcs. we have had the first arc of the Wuthering Waves game, which is about the Threnodian being revived by Scar and Scar's group, being introduced to the Black Shore. Is it the Black Shores? The Black Shore group? I can't remember if that's the name of the group, but essentially, we've been introduced to these amazing characters, these amazing people, and this amazing story, and it feels like a beginning, middle, and end, and it feels like, you know, the first arc of many arcs to come. Doesn't feel like this is one arc, and it's like arc episode part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4, part 5, all the way to part 150, which is what Genshin Impact feels like. We're on the same bloody overarching story. You know, we're on the same overarching story, which is find your sister. And then it's like we've been at it for so many, with like, what, 4 years this year since the game's release? And we haven't got anywhere. We've had miniature arcs like the Inazuma arc, I guess, and the monster arc with Storm Terror, which I guess are arcs to an, you know, to an extent. But my point is, Wuthering Waves feels like the story they gave us, the world they given us, the map they gave us, the characters they gave us, the events they gave us, the game modes they gave us, everything that Kuro Games gave us in Wuthering Waves feels complete, a hell of a lot more complete than what Genshin gave us, in my opinion. I think the support that Kuro Games has been giving the game has been more complete, and they've listened to our feedback, they've listened to what we want, and they've given compensation for the problems the game has. Not 2 pulls, there you go, that will do for the entire of the rest of the fixes. They gave us like over 30, 40, 50 pulls, maybe more, I think, just to apologize to the player base, because they themselves know they want this game to do really, really well, and they want us to have faith in them. And granted, is the compensation they gave us a bit too much? In some degrees, yes. I think they may have possibly compensated us a bit. However, overcompensation is fine to an extent, as long as they don't do it to this extent as it was on launch in the future. That's completely fine, as long as they don't just go, you know what, yeah, we're just going to completely give you another 50 pulls for 1.1, and any bugs that come along with 1.1, we're going to compensate you 50 pulls, 60 pulls for that. And that's not exactly what the people want, because overcompensation and essentially doing that kind of thing and giving everything the player base wants isn't always a good thing for the game. And what I mean by that, let me explain. What I mean by that is, some things the community want for the game doesn't necessarily mean they're good for the game, you know? It's like if I said to Kuro Games, if I had a meeting with Kuro Games and said the game needs to be a lot easier, I think, and I've played a lot of gacha games, I've played a lot of RPG games, I've played a lot of these games, that games. The game needs to be easier. The reward system needs to be extremely high. You know, do this, do this, do this, and they do that based on one person's opinion and one person's feedback. That's not necessarily what the game needs. It's just what a couple of people and a few people want. So they need to be mindful that certain feedback and certain constructive criticism needs to be taken into account, but not all of it does, because there are some things that the game has that don't need to be fixed and changed, and there are some features in the game that do need to be changed and fixed. But that's just, that's just like every single game in the world. It's like every single game that has ever existed. Every live service game, every gacha game, everything that really has existed, there's always been an improvement that's benefited the product. But there's also been changes and improvements that hasn't benefited the product. So those improvements, in fact, haven't improved the game or improved the product itself. It's made it worse. I know what I'm talking about. I hope you guys know exactly what I'm talking about as well. The point is, Kuro Games is doing well to constantly hotfix and patch the glitches, problems, and bugs in the game. They're listening to what people want, and they're giving back to the player base, and they're giving back to essentially just as a community, just the gacha community that play this game, because I know they want this game to do well, and what they're doing for compensation and what they're doing for improvements so far have been phenomenal. The ecosystem needs a little bit of, not fixing, but a little bit of tweaking, but overall it's next to perfect in my opinion. I think the combat is perfect the way it is, doesn't need changing. I think the difficulty doesn't need changing. The bosses are hard. I'm now getting to a point now where I'm like, well, my team's not, I haven't got that many gold echoes, but I've been clearing content not easy, but moderately, so I've had some difficulty with fights, and I've had some difficulty with bosses, and now it's getting to the point where I'm like, oh fuck, okay, now I'm getting to the Dark Souls, Devil May Cry, hard boss shit. You know, I'm getting to the nitty gritty content. And I'm looking forward to seeing where this game goes in the future. I think this game is going to absolutely dominate the gacha game scene. I've always said that, and I stand by that. You're always going to have Honkai Star Rail doing well, because Honkai Star Rail is in good hands. The team at Hoyoverse that is working on Honkai Star Rail is doing a good job with the game. Can't really say anything else. And Wuthering Waves is essentially a game that Genshin Impact should have been. Not should have been, but could have been. And what I mean by that is the changes, the quality of life changes. Like, remember when the CPT 1 and CPT 2 was out, and then people were giving back constructive criticism to Kuro, and Kuro in their first update, live stream said, the changes you've told us that are really detrimental to the game, we've changed. The grind for echoes, updated, fixed, overhauled. Sound design, overhauled. Story, 80% rewritten. So they've done very, very well to listen to the player base, where if you look at Hoyoverse of Genshin Impact, they've kind of done fuck all, to be honest. They've done next to nothing with the game other than just keep pumping out the same old bollocks, with the occasional good story arc, the occasional good story update and story arc in the game. Other than that, what else has been done? What gameplay quality of life changes has Genshin been given to improve the game's quality and improve the game's overall enjoyability? I don't think it's done much. I gave up on the game, like I said, 3.1 when Sino came out. I stopped playing at that point, and I just went straight to Honkai Star Rail when that released, and now I'm straight on Wuthering Waves now that it is here. Wuthering Waves is, in my opinion, next to the perfect gacha game. Does it need, certain quality of life changes, and could it tweak a few things? Absolutely, of course. But I think this is everything I wanted Genshin to be and more. Not to say Genshin Impact's a bad game, but I'm saying that this is the game that is going to kill Genshin. Because I think the more positivity this game gets, and the more positive updates, and the more fixes, changes, tweaks, support this game gets from its community and from its developer, I think the more likelihood chance of this game putting Genshin to bed is becoming a reality. And the more updates that Genshin release of the same quality as they've been releasing, it's over for Genshin. Genshin's over. Genshin Impact is over, in my opinion. I don't think there's anything else they can possibly do. If the anniversary of this year, if Genshin Impact's anniversary isn't better than all of the others combined, then it's done for Genshin. I think it's going to really show people, and it's going to show Hoyoverse that they should have implemented serious changes within the first year to 2 years of the game being out. And content creators have said this so many times. I know I'm not the best at describing what a game needs, or describing what a game's done good and bad, and I do stutter a lot, and no no hours and hours of editing is going to be able to fix 100% of my stutterings. So I'm giving my thoughts and my opinions on why I think Wuthering Waves is going to be the game that everyone turns to and is going to be the death of Genshin Impact. Because I think the combat is better. I think the stories are actually better written, even though it could use some work. The first hour or two of Wuthering Waves was a little bit rocky up until Scar came into it. And when Scar came into it onwards until the end of the game, it was amazing. Hooked. Absolute hooked. I think the end game stuff that we've got, very, very good. Towers of Adversity, very, very good. There's other events and end game stuff that's coming in the future. Characters, very well designed. I feel more connected to the characters in this game than I ever did in Genshin. I think character designs, for the most part, are better in here. I think the voice acting needs work on a lot of the characters, but not all of the characters. Speaking of, Yuan Wu's voice actor, very, very good. I think Kalkaro's voice actor, very good. Jan's voice actor, very good. Yinlin's voice actor, very, very good. Male Rover, way better than the female Rover's voice actor. Don't care if the design of female Rover's way better. I know her design is better than the male Rover, but voice acting wise, Mel Rover took the cake with voice acting compared to the two. If you compare the two main characters, and yeah, I just think overall this game is going to be in safer hands than Genshin has ever been. You know, Wuthering Waves is in such a good position, such good hands. You know, developers that actually want the game to do well. They have the right developers. They have the right developers on the job. And I think Hoyoverse either need to fire a few members of their staff or change the direction of where their game's going. It's not looking good. It really isn't looking good. You know, the team at Hoyoverse that's working on HSR are doing an amazing job. The team at Cura Games are doing an amazing job. The team on Genshin are just doing a lackluster job, and they need to sort their shit out immediately. Because if they don't, by end of this year, I'm predicting, or this time next year when Wuthering Waves' first anniversary comes, Genshin Impact will be still around, but it will be a thing of the past. And what I mean by that is people will talk about, oh, do you remember Genshin Impact? And people will be like, yeah, I remember Genshin Impact. That's the conversation. That'll be the conversation. Do you remember when? Oh, no, I can't remember when because I didn't do it. They didn't implement them to the channel. Do you remember when Genshin Impact gave us those rewards? No. You mean those 4 pools? Yeah, I remember that. Do you remember when Genshin Impact gave us really good story content? Oh, what, like Inazuma? No, after that? No, I don't, because it never fucking happened. Do you remember when Aether reunited with his sister? No, because it still hasn't happened. Still hasn't happened. Not satisfyingly, anyway. People are going to be like, remember when Wuthering Waves came out? Yes, an amazing launch. I was hooked for the whole of 1.0. Do you remember Genshin? Do you know? What do you think of Wuthering Waves' combat? What was your first reactions? Oh, loved it. So satisfying. So great. What do you think of the story? It's pretty good. Needs work, but pretty. Got me a little bit. Slow at the start, but. And I thought it needed work, but then it got to the end of the first arc. Thought it was amazing. Story's been great. Character designs are great. Voice acting let me down a few times, but not the whole cast. But I'm sure they'll tweak it, rewrite lines, and direct the voice actors better in going on the future updates. Different conversations. Remember Honkai Star Rail? Oh, I love Honkai Star Rail. I love turn-based RPG games. I think the story, for the most part, 80-90% of it has been amazing. Free temple, every update. Good story, every update. Near enough. Character designs, really, really good. Combat mechanics, really fun. I love turn-based RPG games. great game. Overall, great game. So it's like, you know, you see my point. I'm not comparing this to HSR because they're two completely different genres of game. One's turn-based RPG, one's an open-world gacha RPG. You know, it's much better to compare this to Genshin Impact than this to HSR because they're two completely different genres of game. You know, yeah, I think that's all I have to say about Wuthering Waves versus Genshin Impact. And people that saying that this hasn't killed Genshin Impact, it's definitely at least severely and heavily wounded Genshin Impact. It's going to take a lot for Genshin to come back from the recent dog shit they've been giving us. And if this game keeps improving, and that game keeps doing shit, it's gonna be bye Genshin, which will mean that this game indeed was the Genshin killer. Was the Genshin destroyer, was the Genshin obliterator. That's what it'll mean. But yeah, that's my opinion on Wuthering Waves being the Genshin killer, and my opinion on Wuthering Waves being the game that essentially put Genshin to bed. I'm sorry for the adverts in the background, by the way. You guys wanted uncut videos. I'm playing music in the background, and you're going to get adverts, unfortunately, that I am having to quickly skip. But hopefully it hasn't tarnished the video too much. If it's tarnished the video, and if it's taken you out of the video, let me know. I can easily redo this video. I don't mind redoing this video. But I think the points I've made, based on just pure thought and improvisation, I think have been pretty good. I don't think I've done bad at all. But let me know what you guys think. Do you think I did pretty good for an improvised speech, an improvised discussion on why Wuthering Waves is the Genshin killer, or at least the game that has severely, critically wounded Genshin? If I done a good job, you let me know in the comments, because I'd love to know if I did a good job. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Take it easy.